Today I'm going to be reviewing these Gerossi pruning shears. They were recently sent to me by the brand. These are going to be relatively easy to open. It quite literally just comes right off. These are going to have a nice little comfortable handle on here, and then to get it to open, you're just going to kind of turn that. So this is what the bottom part, like the spring part, is going to look like. And then you can see here how that's going to cut. And then to put it in place, you're just going to kind of put it right like there, so that way it doesn't open any further. So you can see how that's going to work. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try it on a couple of different bushes that we've got sitting over here. So I'm just going to try on bushes, and then I'll go over to a tree and try and cut some off. I'm just going to go ahead and prune a little bit off this bush right here. You can see it easily cuts right through there. Now this is going to say it cuts up to 3/4 of an inch. I probably wouldn't typically use this to trim a bush, just because, you know, it's going to take a long time to trim through a bush. This is going to work really nicely if you're going through and say pruning like a fruit tree or something like that. If you're trimming a bush, you're probably not going to want something like this. Now this one, I've actually got a tree kind of growing up in the middle of it, so I'm just going to go ahead and get on there and just chop that right off there without any issues. Now let's go ahead and try it on a tree. Now I got some thicker tree limbs here, as you can see, so I'm just going to start off with this one right here, and I'm going to cut right through there. And that trimmed off without any issue whatsoever. So that cut really nicely. I'm going to come all the way back here, and I'm going to see how well it handles this. And that's probably a little bit too big for it. For something like that size, I'd probably use loppers. It is cutting through it, but you have to put a lot of pressure on it to be able to get through it. And you can see it did cut all of the way through it right there, but took a lot more pressure to be able to do that for sure. So definitely can handle larger branches. You can see here how big this branch was around, and it did cut through that, but I would say that's probably a little bit too big for it. You're going to want to use a pair of loppers, or even a like a mini chainsaw or something like that for cutting through there. Now you can see here actually where I cut through this big branch, it actually almost dented this metal piece here, and that's just because it was probably just a hair too big for it. So I was having to put up a lot of pressure, so it was actually it actually damaged this part of the blade. So it is something to keep in mind if you're going to try and trim bigger ones. Just make sure you get a bigger pair of loppers rather than just these little pruning shears for something that's going to be that big around. Although it will cut it, you're probably going to end up damaging it like that. So just something you'll want to keep in mind.